Hi, everybody. Mary Long here. Thanks, Steve, for agreeing again to be our guest artist tonight. And Steve will be, I distilled it down to don't copy the scene, but he had a whole lot more to say about it. So Steve, I'm going to pin you here and pin your video. And I've given you the right to share your screen and take it away, Steve.
Good. Thank you. Well, thanks for this opportunity. I love critiquing art, seeing art, and I just came from judging a show yesterday out in St. Charles. Very fine art show. Took about an hour to look at all the art and selected winners and gave interviews. They recorded the presentations right then and there. I awarded the ribbon to the art, and then that's going to be broadcasted later in the week. But this week is a little special because I challenged you guys to really look at your scene, whether it's plein air or from a photograph or still life or whatever, and just not just feel like you have to copy color for color, shade for shade, value for value, but to really look at it with the intent of pulling out from it an emotion or a story that you felt needed to be said. You could enhance the story, you could eliminate parts of the story to make it better. All in all, it was kind of a free rein to just explore your paint and the process of making art. And so let's go on. I love everybody's piece. This critique is really designed for between me and the artist. I want everybody take from this critique and kind of put that I think Andy or into your back pocket for use. You're going to get helpful tips on everybody's piece. You're going to find lessons learned that you can take with you and apply to your own art. And again, this isn't, it's really meant to grow everybody's ability. So with that, let me share with a few quotes. I love quotes. I love reading. I love writing. And these are just a few quotes. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once the child grows up. You could screen capture this if you want, or we can make this available. The other interesting one I saw was art without emotion is like chocolate cake without sugar. It makes you gag, by Laurie Anderson. So fun little quotes that that I often keep in my back pocket. With that, I just want to introduce you guys to some artists, 4 artists in particular. You've all heard of Monet. There's a show that's happening at the Art Institute right now, September 5th through January 18th. I hope everybody can go and schedule their appointment and attend. I pulled 6 of his paintings of the same scene. This is a scene, I'm sure, in France that he painted 6 different times in 6 different lighting conditions, and you'll see 6 different palettes, but each one is different. look at the distance that he captured in this one right here. It's just a mile ways. Here, the lighting is just spectacular as far as the orange and the purples. It's just amazing. Here's the violets, the grays, and then you've got almost sunrises and sunsets. But look at his work. If there's any one of these that speak to you, I would copy his palette and use that in your next painting. And borrow as much as you can. Another artist I want to introduce you to is Oscar Drogie. Oscar is no longer with us. He was a German woodcutter. These are wood blocks that he created, and but I love his designs, his ability to capture depth in design. And you wouldn't think that these were wood blocks, but these are incredible pieces of art in themselves. But look at them for his ability to just create amazing shapes in his work. Simplifying everything, really. Look at the distant shapes, the middle shapes, and the foreground shapes. You have to do that for woodblock, and it's just layering different shapes, and you're creating this atmosphere. But Oscar Drogie, he'll come up in our talk later on tonight. Watercolor, look up Thomas Shawler. Mary and I took a workshop with him. This is maybe 6 years ago, Mary, I think. And
it was 6 years ago, and I have one of his right behind me.
Do you? Thomas is doing some amazing work as far as capturing the atmosphere. He uses the background, middle ground, foreground exquisitely. And he uses the light, middle, and dark of those distances very effectively. In most of his art, he has his background is the middle ground. His background is the middle value. His middle ground is the light, and the foreground is the dark. So look at these beautiful L compositions, nice big U composition here. Very good at watercolor. Tom is still living, painting profusely in mostly California. The last artist I want to introduce you to is Tibor Nagy. I look at Tibor's work and I see Errol's work right off the bat. Errol is in this very atmospheric realm of painting. Tabor is doing some amazing work as well. Young Slovakian, I think, is Russian painter, but doing some really good work. Exaggerating areas that need to be exaggerated and quieting down other areas that are not important. But let's go on. This is, again, all in Photoshop. So over here on the left, I have points to consider. Up here is the reference photo, and then the big area here is the painting. But great job on this one, Kuhn. I think you're capturing the essence of the assignment this week. You drastically changed up the sky. This reminds me of Monet. You simplify. I love how you simplified your shadow shapes, and the temperature in your greens are spot on. Your distant cool greens are here, and the warm green shapes are here. It's a fresh application of paint. It's not overworked. It's just really, really well done. I love the sign, Jesus is the answer. He often is. And it was there in the photo. So beautiful, beautiful work, Kuhn.
Thank you.
My comment would be watch your edges. Take the opportunity to soften up some of them even more and create harder edges where you really need it. As far as text is concerned, play that one very carefully as far as it almost looks pasted on. You could achieve a little softer perhaps edges within the text in some letters, but paint the text just as you painted the painting.
Okay.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yolana, beautiful, beautiful painting here, Yolana. Of your looks like your home or a neighbor's home. It really captures the warmth of the home, surrounded totally by the cool greens. The values can be better defined. Watch the need to create detail over correct values. I would lean toward correcting the values first, and then once you have the value established, add your detail within that value range. All these little whites, light parts are really blowing the illusion of any shade that is in front of this building. Also watch the slight tilt to the perspective. The photograph, you're taking a slight skewed photo. That slight skew captured on painting makes the house slanted a little bit. I would err on just making it almost like an elevation view point, just making it all flat, and then going on from there. But overall, really good work. I love your application of paint. This is beautiful painting up in here. Good job. Muriel, this painting has a beautiful feeling to it, Muriel. This is beautiful warmth that's coming out of this sky, and you captured really the nice, cool atmosphere in the woods. Looks like I hope you wore boots on this in this excursion because it looks awfully swampy. Good elevation as far as the horizon line, the split between 1/3, 2/3. Your sun is really pushed all the way to the left, which is fine, but that's the center of interest right there. Watch your linear perspective in that. What I mean is we always get linear perspective in architectural buildings. You see the lines kind of and shapes getting smaller and smaller as the farther they go back. But that same linear perspective is happening in landscape. Look for those shapes look for the tiny little horizontal shapes that are happening way out in the distance, and make sure you get those in there, because that's a clue that pushes that land down. You get these big shapes like this, and it rises that ground plane that should be flat. It kind of brings it up. Just give us a little hint of a flat horizontal shape way out there. And then watch your distribution of sizes in your canopy, your tree canopy. Same kind of linear perspective. This shape right here is about the same size as this shape, but in establishing that distance, this shape should really be smaller because it's going to push that shape way farther back, or make this shape bigger, and that'll bring that whole shape closer to us. And then watch the almost perfect X in this, like almost X marks the spot where we should look. Kind of get a little shape variation on that shape. I'm seeing a big butterfly in there is what I'm seeing. But, overall, really good painting here.
Thank you.
Mary. Great greens, Mary. I think you're getting it. Watch the shadow on this shape here. This tree really, as it's turning, should have a nice deep, rich shadow to it. And then you may be seeing highlights within the tree. Ignore those because the shape should really take precedence over the highlights. I love your rich color. You enhance the color well. Watch though the light and shadow shapes should really take first priority over the local color of the object that it is. And what that means is you've chosen the first priority should be the brightness of that windowsill and then the deep dark blue, but you've lost the shadow shape as it goes up and around the windowsill. You should have that darker value shape on the windowsill, and that'll just really set this whole shape back very nicely. Great paint application in here. Good job. Tom. Great job on this, Tom. Excellent use of grays. If you really want to have your color really pop, play with your grays. Accentuate the grays. Make them various shades of warmth and cool. And then place those grays right next to your pure color. It's going to make that pure color really stand out so much stronger. This is what I meant by linear distribution, Muriel. Tom's got the big shape in the foreground here, getting smaller and smaller, flatter and flatter, and that plane goes down flat. He's given us clues to present that this is a flat plane. And then he's just really simplified this shadow shape very nicely. Tom wrote in his Facebook, his intent was to capture the feeling of the space and the dappled light, evoke a sense of mystery in the dark areas, and the movement in the light. And I think you succeeded on this one, Tom. I put down here in the notes, this reminded me so much of Oscar Drogie's woodcuts. It's that good, Tom.
Oh, thank you so much.
My only recommendation: spend a little more time in your sketches. I'm guilty of doing this. I get so excited with the sketches that I go, okay, that's enough information. I want to go paint, and I'm learning to spend more time in the sketch and completing a good sketch. If the sketch becomes too lazy or too haphazard, I'll just slow myself down and do another one, do another sketch. And that sketch comes out way better, and then the painting turns out even better.
You know, it's funny because on this one, I felt like the drawing was not so much the issue because there are these uprights and there's a couple of lines. But when I got into it, what I realized the real challenge of abstraction here was creating a movement in the canopy. And I wish that I had sketched it actually, which I didn't sketch that at all. I was just like, okay, here's some verticals, here's some horizontal, and the dapple light stepping back in the foreground. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I will definitely look at Oscar Drogie because those are gorgeous, and I think that this.
Yeah.
I love that this assignment you guys came up with is brilliant. I feel like I could pursue this for years.
Yeah. and really the harder, the more advanced you will become as an artist, the simpler your paintings will become. The more elegant the paintings will ultimately become, and it's just a fact. And you'll see that as you get more and more years on you. So good job, Tom.
Thank you.
Richard, you blew me away on this one, Richard. This one is just spectacular in how you just took the subject of a guy looking at a gallery and then painted the landscape behind him. Is just amazing. I love your shape of your sky. This is a brilliant shape. And that sky you put in here, of the clouds kind of all coming around, all pointing up into here. Great job, Richard. I would suggest, very similar to Mary's painting, you have a nice strong shadow coming up in here, but you just kind of lost the shadow of the person off, maybe just a touch deeper in value in the shadow would really set that off, I think. But edges, pay attention, everybody, to Richard's edges. Excellent work in here. How sharp this is, how soft these are. Great job. Robin, you are one brave artist, Robin. This is a difficult subject to capture. Anytime you get these curved turrets up against some hard architectural elements, a lot of soft landscaping in here. Watch the perspective. Your lines are going correct in here, but these lines are going up too sharp. I think it's much more flatter, and it's forcing this walkway to have a really nice slope to it, and I think it's deceiving. But and then watch the shadow shapes. Really need to have a little more definition of shape. I wouldn't end, unless this is a flare on your screen or your painting, I wouldn't end the painting at the bottom here with introduce another light source, another light shape. I would end it with a shadow, and then it'll kind of anchor that whole painting down. Right now, that shadow shape right here, and then you introduce another light shape, kind of lifts the painting up. And,
Okay.
And it's kind of floats. It feels like a floating element right in here. The other thing is pay attention to those three distances, and paint those distances as the background is your sky, okay? Your middle ground is your building, and your foreground is the tree and your shadows, okay? So you paint those in your 3 different values. I would say your middle value is up in here. Your light shapes are going to be in here with your shadows. And then the dark shapes are going to be in the foreground. And that'll set the stage for some really good drama.
Okay, thanks. I think I know I did the painting before I read the assignment, and
Oh, okay.
it's sort of the antithesis of what you said, because I got so involved and I got to get the turret, I got to get this
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
there's no room left for any feeling, but I didn't even consider the three distances, so thank you.
Yeah, get those 3 distances down. And, you know, if you have time to do a quick little sketch beforehand, you know, discipline yourself to see those distances: background, middle ground, foreground, light, medium, dark, and then mix them up. Okay. Look at Thomas Shawler's work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anne, beautiful piece here, Anne. This reminds me of Turner's paintings. It's just very, very tumultuous. It's just like a flow of color and value. I love the introduction of this red down in here, the sharp edge right in here, kind of giving me a nice central focus. You could go even more if you want, but it's a really nice piece. It's got a good flow. Overall, a really good tonal painting.
Thanks.
Good job. Deborah. Great work on this one, Deborah. I want to point out something to all the watercolorists or even the oil painters in here, but look at the brilliant application of paint up in here. This is, she understands, you know, the warm parts of the tree and the cool parts of the tree. And she was, Deborah, you were free to just slap this paint on. And this application of paint, I want to see everywhere else in the painting. This is bold, free painting. It's given me courage because I'm seeing this paint right here. And when you applied this, I know you felt courageous and bold, and that's giving me courage in my own work, just seeing this paint. I'm not seeing that so much down in here. So next time you go out and paint all your paintings like this. I love the flags, the way you treated the flags, the poles. Watch the light parts that are coming through here. If it's not adding to the overall shape of your object, it's going to be distracting. Very similar to the way you treated those buggy in the shadow. You simplified everything down, and you just gave me enough information to make sure that I knew that that was a buggy. This is getting kind of confusing. You could kind of simplify that a little bit. That's what I meant by light holes. Get those lights. If they're add to the story, leave them in. But if it's going to distract from the shape, take them out. All right, good. Shafali, is that how you say your name, Shafali? I love this painting. This is a beautiful, almost painting from the heart. It's just a limited palette, just big, strong center of interest of this tree, and then good leading lines coming up in here. You've got a beautiful technique and touch to your watercolors. It's got lots of emotion. Don't lose that. It's your signature in your work, and I love it. It's beautiful. Everybody needs to try limited palettes. Take 2 complementary colors or 2 analogous colors, and just use those colors in a painting. You will be amazed at how harmonious that painting becomes. It's a really good lesson for everybody. Great job. Susan, this is a beautiful photograph, Susan. I think this is your underpainting or your first phase, and then this is the final. I hope I got that right. Anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. I love the light you captured in here. You added the warmth. You're not seeing the warmth in the reference photo, but you added a nice warm glow to the willow tree, and then these trees over here. Watch your planes. I say unify the sameness in here, and I would say just take your brush. When you first do this, this is beautiful painting up in here. I got kind of muddled, I think later on, by adding too much detail. Sorry about that. You're getting confused with value as far as the light sky up in here. And then you've got 2 more planes. You've got an upright plane right in here in these trees, and then you've got a ground plane down in here. You've got an upright plane here, and then you've got this ground plane right in here.
Which should
The
be
ground plane right over in here is going to be always lighter
right.
than the upright plane.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
So, keep those 2 shapes separate. In value,
Right.
you could then add a little bit of detail as you need to within those values. And it'll read a lot better.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Good.
Thanks, Steve.
Rich. Beautiful, beautiful piece here, Rich. Good, strong leading lines. Give us, I'm a little confused on the center of interest. I want to go in here, but I love this area over in here. So I'm constantly going back and forth. Just pay attention to the strength of your edges as you're, as a point to that center of interest. And then watch your, this is good linear perspective back in here. You got some big shapes over here, going this flatter and flatter and flatter. Great color in the background. Watch these little appendix shapes. Even if they're in the photograph, they're going to be laying flatter. And I say linear perspective in that this shape here should really be bigger than this shape over here, because you're forcing this piece closer than this piece. If this size is bigger than this size. And don't be afraid of those big areas of shapes. This light right up in here is going to just create a nice big shape. But I think this was a really fast painting that you did from what I read in the notes. Good job, Rich. Andrea. I love this piece, Andrea. I fell in love with this piece. And I sent Mary a text, wow, Andrea's really getting good. I want everybody to look at her reference photo in here, and then her quick sketch in here, really working out the shapes and the intent of the overall painting. This probably was your first sketch, nice horizontal. I did crop the photo a little bit, and then this might have been your second sketch, deciding on a vertical painting. But I love this diagonal. Don't underestimate the strength of a diagonal in your painting. It creates the emotion of growth, of movement, of passion. It's just a beautiful composition to have in your painting. And here, it's just a flat plane, but you chose to create this beautiful diagonal shape and simplified everything. It's just creating a really nice, simple shape here, simple shape up in here, and then this beautiful dark that just envelops the trunks of the trees and just gives us just enough information, and you left it. Is this a watercolor or oil?
It's a watercolor.
Is it? Okay. This is a beautiful watercolor. My only concern is watch the lightness that you have right in here. It's kind of coming forward too much. I would like to see, maybe something and that's a simple wash right over that. And that'll push that whole shape back.
Yeah, this study was interesting from the idea of not using greens as much.
Yeah.
So it pushed me in a different direction entirely. So thanks for the challenge.
It's beautiful. Look at how the emotion in this tree, and it's anchored to that ground. And this, and I say solid structure, I meant you put a diagonal in here, and then you tilted this tree even more so to counteract that diagonal. And it's just, if this was a house of sticks, this would stay up. It's creating a beautiful tension in here. It's so well painted. Great job.
Thank you.
Lori, this is a beautiful exercise, Lori. I'm glad you did this. And over here, the points, this is the last points that I wrote to you on this painting. And I just want to talk about what you did on this one. You thought this was a little warm lit. It could have been your light source. But I love what you did. It's just, you went all out on the lily pads. You lightened up this area up in here because of that distance. You variegated the edges. I love this piece. It's nice, again, a nice strong diagonal with some verticals reflecting the trees. My only comment would be maybe when you're painting water, paint some downstrokes. Look for those shapes that kind of anchor that water down, and just take your brush and just go down and then come across. Sargent was a master at painting down, and because he saw that the light, if you have a horizontal stroke, the light is going to hit that stroke a little bit lighter versus a downward stroke. It's going to be a truer color. See how the light is picking up all these horizontals up in here?
You mean so the brush stroke itself, so
Yeah.
the light we're looking at is gonna, is that what you mean?
Yes. So you take your brush and paint down. If there's a shape in the water, you paint that down and then continue down here. You have kind of it right in here. But look for those opportunities to paint down. But great job.
Thank you.
And this is a beautiful exercise in painting, like Monet, painting that same scene over and over and over again. Once you have a good composition, it's your composition. You have the copyright to it. Not that there's a copyright to it, but go with it. Try different techniques, different palettes, different values, and use all those those palettes that Monet did, and see what you get. Just have fun.
Give it a shot. Thank
Good
you.
job, Lori.
Thank you.
Maureen. Boy, Maureen, you are not afraid of color. This one is blowing my eyes out. What, I gotta ask you, what color pink did you use on this? What is that?
It's a Holbein.
A Holbein pink?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
It's called, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, don't be shy with color. I'm looking at two different paintings. I love that you just included a different scene, you know, putting an umbrella and a table and chairs in there. You edited this thing quite well. But I'm seeing this is one painting up in here, and then this is all a whole different painting. And same thing with you as far as linear perspective. When you have this big shape in the foreground in here, like this big grass shape, and we're always going to get that big grass shape in the foreground. Find in the grass lines or shapes that give the viewer clues that this is a flat plane going out into the distance. So your shapes over in the foreground over here are going to be bigger than back in here. Okay, just whether it's the grass shapes, and in grass there's always going to be yellow ochre, little dead parts of grass showing through, and you'll find those shapes intriguing. But right now this is such a flat plane, it's just standing upright, and it's just not laying flat for me.
I know I was trying to go abstract a little bit with it, but you are totally right. I know, you're right.
Okay. But you know, this you just painted this normally, and then you know,
Right.
go all the way abstract if you're going to go, you know, and then let the design lead the abstract choice making. You know, find that center of interest and just totally abstract this out. But overall, really good painting back in here. Good.
Thank you.
Kim, I love this painting, Kim. Look at the warmth that I love the warmth that you have in this. Looks like you toned the canvas first, and you had a nice warm toned canvas. I love your strong, free, brave strokes of paint. It's just captures the emotion of this scene really well. Look for, and I have down in here, look for the subtle continuity of shapes and edges. And what I mean by that is I look at the shapes that you have here in the background. These are just random shapes that create depth within your foliage. You have a beautiful shape in here and a beautiful shape in here. I would continue that shape right over in here, and then find a way of just bringing that dark that's here over to here, and then just kind of finish it off over to here. It'll just create this beautiful flow within the background of your painting, and it'll be so subtle people will just not even see it, but it's just a subliminal message of just flow and rhythm throughout your painting. And use that technique, that flow of subtle shapes, shape making in the background, again, to point people to your painting. Look at this beautiful gray of this mauve in here. You have it in here and here. But design it in a way that it comes up through here and then maybe back through in here. And then maybe a motion of that purple kind of coming up into here. Use that rhythm of color throughout your painting. And it's a really fun way of creating harmony in your painting, but a really good flow. But and then watch your edges, of course. You've got a super hard edge right in here, and I think this is your center of interest right in here. But overall, really nice painting.
Thank you.
Marcy,
Hi, Steve.
beautiful, beautiful painting here, Marcy. I was just captivated by the shadows in the ground in here. I love how you painted this. Look at the linear perspective. I love this. This is what I've been talking about, the big shapes kind of going back to the smaller shapes. That's linear perspective. Watch the unified shapes back in here. You know, find other tree trunks that kind of break up this pattern. But this is really hard to do. This warmth in the background and coolness in the foreground. But I think you nailed it well.
I was worried about making it too busy in the background. I was trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, you did it. You did it well. Watch the canopy though. The way you painted this ground, do the same thing with this canopy. You know.
Okay.
So I said, good negative painting in the shadows down in here. The tree canopy could be painted the same way. Okay, so you paint the dark first, ignore the sky holes completely, and then come in with the thicker paint and just carve in those sky holes in this beautiful linear perspective that you have going on here. You know, this is a nice big white shape, your sunlight, of course. But carve those canopy shapes right in there.
You're right. It's obvious now that I look at it. Yep.
So this is well painted. This is kind of muddled.
Yeah. I get dotty sometimes. So yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Good. Thanks.
More like this.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Okay.
Howard. Great watercolor here, Howard. I love your fearlessness of paint. You are just, and I've seen you paint. You throw this paint down and without hesitation, and it's going to lead you well in your painting career. And I see that here. Watch though isolation of shapes. Whenever you have this big sky area and you have a isolated shape, this is now your center of interest. My eye is constantly going in here. So I'm saying, know what you want to be your center of interest. If it's the building, if it's the trees, and use contrast of light and dark, hard edges, soft edges. Of course, the hard edges would be your center of interest. Soft edges could be your, other areas that support the center of interest. Warm areas usually attract the eye. Cool areas, not so much. Active brushwork in your clouds up in here is another tool that we use to, have a focal point of center of interest. I like the warmth that you have up in here. But there's no active brushwork like you have up in here. So just keep that in mind. The slopes that you have in this also kind of lead us off the painting. If it's a subtle change of slope, think twice about creating that in your art, and just kind of have it straight if it's just a subtle slope. But I like this framing element right in here. It gives us a nice foreground framing element. Good job, Howard. Sue. This is a really good painting, Sue. I love the sketch that you created in here. Big, strong diagonals coming in here. You nailed the center of interest is clearly this boulder right in here with a nice snow cap on it. Watch the light source. Light source is coming, I think, coming in from the right and coming in this way. And turn that on. And then just follow the blue shading on that snow over in this area right in here, and then maybe over in this area. So your shapes that you're creating with your snow also read well the shadow parts of that shape. So if there's a downward slope over here, it's going to catch shade like this area over in here.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Really good use of the underpainting there. Good job, Sue.
Great. Thanks.
Liz. Let me take a quick sip. I love your sketch, Liz. I think I like your sketch more than the painting, and I'll explain why. Look at the subtle gradient in here in the sky. Goes to a nice distant shapes of the land, and then you give us some nice warmth in the base down in here. And you almost did that in the sky up in here, but then you gave us this green, kind of middle value, warm green. That's not really representing the distance that you have in this sketch. So you've abstracted, but it's again, it's not creating that distance that this sketch has. And then I would say the tree, it's super warm. It may be too warm for this scene, although your grass down in here is super hot. But so, try to if you have a really good sketch, put the photo away and paint from the sketch.
Yeah, I did actually. I did the sketch in front of the photo, and then I didn't use the photo. I just painted from the sketch. So
okay.
But yeah, I felt that the background was still too too forward. It needs to go back further. But I was trying to make the tree much warmer than it was in the original photograph to kind of change up the color. So
okay, good.
Yeah, I've tried to start doing that, is to do a sketch from the photo and then put the photo away. So
yep, good, because you've done all your homework here.
Yeah.
Right. And then your response is all in here. This is just a reference. So good job.
Thank you.
Barbara, she gave us a couple of sketches.
Hello.
Here's your scene here. I loved these blue ink sketches. These are beautiful in here. It's, again, real quick sketches, light, medium, and dark shapes, really creating a nice composition. The painting itself is here. I kind of like the sketches a little more, but you did a really nice job on just throwing that paint down as far as the warmth and the coolness. I love this green back in here. And again, the light on the painting, it's kind of blowing out. I think there's some tree shapes up in here, and a nice person back there. But then you gave us these really hot green shapes that kind of lead us right off the painting, and don't allow us to really stay put right over in here, because my eye keeps going up and up and up and out. Okay, just understand the power of these shapes and these edges to really capture our attention. Okay.
Okay.
Reflections need a little work if you're creating these shapes. Good linear perspective though on your waves. Big shapes up in here, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay.
Okay.
Bob? Good job.
Thank you. I
Virginia,
more.
beautiful piece here, Virginia. Oh, I love
Thanks.
this.
I tried to be abstract, but I didn't really succeed, but thank you.
I love the action of this guy right in here, and then the people subtly way you painted these people in is just spot on. Look at the photograph again. I love how the paint application, but I think did you paint this from life or from a photo?
I was there. I did a watercolor sketch, but it wasn't completely finished. And then I came home and did it from a photo. But
Okay.
I was having so much trouble making the part above the waterfall recede.
Up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons it's because it's so warm. The other is and I did a few little samples here in that I think the value, if you just darken the value, if this is dry, you could just throw a nice glaze of blue, and I did that right in through here, and it just tones down that waterfall and puts it in shadow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I highlighted the water shapes, the top light parts up in here for you, and just kind of lightened up those shapes. So by again glazing this area and lightening up here, you could do the glaze, put this glaze all up in here, and that'll push that whole shape back. Actually, let me do that if you want.
Wonderful. Yeah. The atmosphere I was trying to go for was the energy of the water and the playfulness of the people around the pond.
Let me just push that whole thing back.
Oh, that works.
See, that's what glazing will do, and that'll push that back. And now, look at the light that you have on this waterfall right up in here, and then you could throw some more light up at the very top.
Wow.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve. That's amazing.
Okay, good. But I love this piece. Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Linda, we only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So we're on a roll. But Linda, This is a beautiful piece here, Linda. Beautiful feeling to it. It's got really an ethereal feeling to it. I love your flow of the landmass down in here. Great linear perspective. You got a nice big shape here, medium-sized shapes kind of flowing with the land, and then smaller shapes up in here. You could have even more light shadow shapes in your ground. It'll also kind of break up this this feeling of red all over in the ground. And you could do this also with glazing, like Virginia's. Just put a nice glaze of color on that, and it'll kind of break up that ground line a little bit more. Beautiful air down in here. Watch these trees. They're kind of rubbery looking. I love what you did back in here. And I wrote consistency as far as I like this painting back in here more so than here. If you could just bring some of this brushwork up into here, some solid brushwork, I think these trees will read better, or maybe darken these trees up to like this value.
Okay.
I think that'll read better. And then I would get a nice shape of this canopy kind of coming down in like this, of these leaves.
Okay.
Overall, really good job, Linda.
Thank you.
Sandra, this is a really strong diagonal composition. Look at the strength of that diagonal. And then beautiful energy in the brushwork. But I want you to be careful with this type of laying the paint down and wiping it off. It's okay in some areas to do that, but when you're starting to get that technique, it's
I'm repeating the same thing too much.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Got it. Yep.
Yes. And you're not really understanding and capturing the depth, because I want the shapes back here to be smaller and less, and over here it's okay to have these.
Got it.
Nice bold shapes. And when you have these bolder shapes up in here, it's getting too repetitive. Okay. And then watch the edges of your painting. Design the edges of the canvas and ignore the edges of the painting, and it'll make us believe that the world continues beyond the painting. So in other words, what I meant by that is rather than placing these lily pads right at the edges down in here, do more of this. You know, take that lily pad right off the edge, take this one off, leave this one the way it is, paint another one off, and make us believe that life continues after your painting. Okay. And then, and then, this one could be, treated maybe even stronger than this one, if this is the center of interest.
Because it would be the interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Okay. But I love the strong diagonal. Look at how strong that is. It's beautiful. And here's
I was going for energy and color.
Oh yeah, you got it. Good job. Cynthia, this is a beautiful little still life that she did in her backyard. Beautiful warmth that you have in this. Great application of paint. I love how you paint. I've seen you paint. You are not afraid to lay paint down, and beautifully painted. Watch the tangents though. You know, if your painting is the subject is this the chair with the watering can, raise that up a little bit, get it off the end of the painting, and you know, watch this tangent touching the water can with this with the pot. You know, just ignore that shape altogether. This is beautiful interaction of shapes and lines. And then design it so you have your darks kind of talking to each other, your middle values kind of talking to each other, and your lights. This is, you know, got a nice light spot, dark spot, light spot, dark spot, kind of all kind of going up in a row like this. Maybe think a little bit more on your composition and get a pleasing composition of thirds. Maybe, you know, 3-spot patterns is a good composition type for something like this. Okay, good. Sharon, 2 more. This is her reference photo. I zoomed in on it, Sharon. This is a beautiful application of paint. The color and the value of this green is superb. Look at how far these tree shapes go back. And then she's got this swooping diagonal. Watch this shape. You could have, you know, this shape coming in, and maybe having this one behind it.
You know, that was my intent, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah. When you link that shape up, you're taking the eye right off the page. I want to live down in here.
Is there too much texture down there, do you think?
Too much texture? A little bit, I would say. This is beautifully treated. When you start painting the little dabs of flowers that you see, just because you see it doesn't necessarily make the painting better. This is beautiful down in here. You've given us enough information to finish the story. You know, enough color, enough shade of shapes. When you start adding the little details of flowers, just be really careful on designing that. And it needs to, you know, try to find the shapes up in here. And then you should be good. Okay, good. Beautiful shapes.
Thank you.
I think Terry's last one, but I think I missed one. Let me go back through these again. Anyway, Terry, great job on this one. This is the reference photo up in here. Here's her nice quick value study from the photo. And here's her painting. Great leading lines. Here's her center of interest. Strong, nice, warm center of interest. Good leading lines up in here. I would say watch the sameness of this shape. It's not helping us go back. Maybe flatten this, giving us a slight smaller shape back in here. Like you have this in here. Again, making us go back to up in here. And then I would say these are good shapes for this middle ground. Try to find another rock that's bigger, maybe over in here. You have one up in here. It might maybe paint it like off into this corner, and that'll anchor that corner down a little bit. But I love this green in here. This water is just spectacularly painted. In the rocks, I love the way you did the rocks. Good job, Terry. I know I forgot one because I remember it right now.
Steve, while you're looking for it, Sharon had a question for you about hers.
Steve, you had a comment off to the left that I don't think you mentioned, and a couple of us were wondering what you meant. Reactivity is powerful.
Reactivity. What did I mean by that?
I don't know.
Okay, you're reacting to the scene, right? So, I love how your ability to react to that scene reminds me of Van Gogh, and the beautiful movie of with Kirk Douglas. I haven't seen the latest one yet, and I need to.
Fantastic. Yeah, you should.
But Kirk Douglas was just captured that reactive energy that Van Gogh has, and I see that in your painting.
Yeah, you've said that to me before.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Don't lose that, and develop it, and use it to your advantage, and know that you have that ability to react emotionally to your painting. But watch the little details, these little details. If they're not going to add to the overall design and shape of the entire painting, leave it out, or save that active brushwork and reactive brushwork for your centers of interest.
Okay, thank you.
And
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
one other thing. It seems that you have some fans on here from the South who. And
welcome,
we have
Plein Air South.
Yeah, exactly. And let me just say that, so this is Mary Long, and if you want to give me your email address, and we'll put you on the list so that you can come back and be part of our other critiques.
Yes. Okay, I am missing one painting. I know one painting I'm missing. Let me open that up.
Is the artist here who hasn't been done?
No. Anyway, I apologize for
There was
missing.
one by Dominic at the end that came in that I don't think you did.
No, no, there was one with sunflowers.
Mary, somebody's messaging you that there's one that they submitted.
On the chat
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah, Abby submitted something.
Yeah, and Dominic did as well. You may want to switch over to Facebook, Steve.
Yeah. Okay, this one's not in Photoshop, but I'll bring it into Photoshop. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
This is her scene. I can't think of who did this. Anyway, here's her scene, and here's the painting. Very well painted.
Karen
Karen.
Carico.
Yes. Sorry, Karen. I wanted to say so much about this painting, but for some reason it just didn't make it into the Photoshop file. But let's say it now. This scene is well painted. I love how you painted the sunflowers and all the different shapes and the patterns of these sunflowers. Watch this building back in here. Here's the photo itself. Ask yourself, is this building really needed? Or can I get more mileage from the contrast of these sunflowers up in here, up against this dark, continuing all the way across this area. I think this would be a better painting without this house shape back in here. If this is all about the painting of these sunflowers. Also, watch the squareness of this. You know, the photograph itself shows that square. I would have gone in and gone in even tighter and just really captured, you know, those paintings in there. You know, that scene right in there. Or you know, find something of other intrigue, but zoom in on it and just give us a really good, strong composition. This is also a really nice, strong painting right in here, where you got the tree shape and then this curve right in here. But there's some beautiful shapes that you could paint right in here if you zoomed in on it. But watch the you know, the sameness of the tree shapes back in here. But I like the light grass shape. The ground plane goes way back. Overall, good job. Did I miss anybody else?
You missed Abby.
Abby, I didn't see her painting. Let's go to Facebook.
She said she just posted it now again.
Well, while that's happening, let's talk about Dominic's in here. Really nice fall scene in here. I love the orange shape coming up. This is really well painted. The values of this house really go back, and it's allowing this lights that's on the pumpkin. Again, the lights coming in this way. Stairs, really good shapes, and clearly the center of interest is this pumpkin. I think this photo is really low resolution, and it's very blurry, or the painting is really small, and it's one or the other. But maybe post higher resolutions on your photographs next time, Dominic. But overall, it's a really good center of interest in here. Don't feel like you have to paint every little detail off the center of interest if it's not adding to the overall composition. Do I have to refresh maybe?
Maybe, but she said she doesn't have a camera or microphone. I told her to just go ahead and send it to me personally, and I would just put it on, but I don't see it coming.
Okay. Well, my next event, let's talk about the next event, is this Sunday. We're going to be painting all day at Citizens Park in Barrington. There's a few spots left. It's $100 for all day from 9 to 4. And we'll have demos, we'll have handouts, we'll cover a lot of the topics that we covered tonight on simplification, getting a strong composition, throwing the warmths and cools in there. We'll have about 10 students right now, and take a few more. But it's leading off into the Barrington plein air event, which starts Monday the 14th, goes to the 19th. And that's $30 for submitting one painting, and Nancy King Mertz is the judge on that one. And then at the end of the month, I'll be driving down to Florida to paint with my plein air South friends and teaching down there. That's still going on. So there's hope for plein air painting.
Well, thanks, Steve. It looks like Abby's was posted, but not a photo of her painting.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's it. Well, Steve, you're getting notes of thanks for your great criticism tonight. And
good. Well, I enjoyed doing it.
yeah, obviously it's really great. So
Good.
it's obvious that you enjoy it. And it's really great for us that you do.
Good. Well, thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mary.